I'm gonna record today's session because I feel like it's gonna be a good one. Um, so I'll quickly introduce uh, to our guests who we are. Coach K and Coach Patrick. I want to introduce you guys to the U19 SBA women's team. SBA, Scarborough Basketball Association. We are a club in Scarborough. We're a rather large club. Um, and I won't go through all the history, but a lot of girls playing all over the world have come from the SBA. We're also joined by SBA's U17 girls team, coached by Mervyn Busby, who I believe is on the call as well. My name is Kareem Granger. I coach the U19 women's team. I know we invited some players from our Jewel and Jewel Prep team as well. So I don't recognize all of the names, but you know, one of the folks here could be from either Jewel or Jewel Prep. And we just put the word out whenever we have chats like these. Speaking of chats like these, this is part 5 in our playing post-secondary basketball series. We've been kind of using the time during this lockdown. We've had a lot of virtual meetings, and we've been using this opportunity to increase our knowledge when it comes to playing post-secondary basketball, how to get recruited, what to expect when you get there, and all the different things that come with it that a lot of us don't know. Right, a lot of this type of information is taken for granted. So I want to thank you, Coach K, and Coach Patrick for joining us today and being part of part 5 of this series. And part 5 is opportunities in the OUA and OCAA. And the OUA is the Ontario University Athletics, and the OCAA, which my daughter plays for as well, is the Ontario Colleges Athletics Association. So opportunities within Ontario on the college and the university side. And for our girls and our players and our coaches, I just want to introduce you guys really quickly. I won't do much of your introductions, Coach Patrick and Coach Kim. I'm going to let you guys do that. But I'll just let you guys know that Coach K, or Coach Karissa Kajorinne, she is the assistant coach of the Algoma University Thunderbirds. All right, and Coach Patrick Murray is the men's head coach. Is that right, Coach? Of the Sault College basketball program.
Yep.
Right, and both programs are in Sault Ste Marie, so that's the kind of tie that binds here. So with that said, I'm going to throw right to you guys and let you guys take from here with the remainder of your introductions, and then you can go right into it. Coach K, I have the screen share is ready for whenever you want to decide to share screens, and hopefully we can do some Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks so much for having us. This is an awesome opportunity for us to get to know you guys, have a nice little chat. I know we're stuck on screens all day now with school and everything, so I'll try not to bore you and keep you on here for too long, but I just want to definitely give you guys an overview of what it's like here in the Soo for us. We call it the Soo for short. It's a nice little way to keep it simple, but I'll share my screen. At least you can get some visuals at least of what it looks like for us here, both at Sault College and Algoma University. So let's see if this works. All right. So can you guys see that? It's good?
Yeah, we can see it, Coach.
Okay, perfect, awesome. Okay, so like Coach Kareem had said, we're located in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. So if you don't know where that is, if you drove, I guess, north from Toronto, it takes about 7 hours. It is a bit far, but I myself am from Thunder Bay, which is another 7-8 hours past here north. So I'm used to it. I'm from the north myself. So it's not as far as you may think, but definitely a little bit out of the way. A lot of people get it confused with North Bay quite a bit, which is only about 3 hours away. But yeah, definitely a little bit further. So just a quick little bio about me. And I only have player photos because, you know, try to stick in the glory days as opposed to my coaching days. But I played 1 year of OCAA because when I first came to Sault Ste. Marie, our Algoma University team actually played in the OCAA alongside Sault College. So that was a long time ago. Again, I'm getting old, but I had 1 year of OCAA. Then I was able to play 3 more years at Algoma U, and I ended up finishing my last year at Lakehead University, which is in Thunder Bay. I went back home. I've been able to assistant coach with Algoma U for 3 years. So after my playing years, I spent 1 year assistant coaching. Then I decided to move home to continue education at Lakehead, which I was there for a 2-year program. And then I coached 2 more years coming into this year at Algoma U. We also have a club under our university called Algoma Junior Thunderbirds. So I've been a part of that for about 8 to 10 years. The club's changed a little bit, but Junior Thunderbirds anyways has been 8. And then I'll give Pat a little introduction, then he can say his piece, but I always like to pump Pat up because Pat also is an Algoma U alumni. He's from Sault Ste Marie. He played 5 years at Algoma U when we were in the OCAA. He's even a Hall of Famer at the university. He assistant coached the women's team. So he was actually one of my coaches when I first started playing. Then he also assistant coached with the men's program at Algoma U, and then transitioned into the head coach at Sault College. So if Pat has anything else to say, he can jump in quick.
No, thanks, Karissa. That's pretty much summarizes me for right now. As I said, I kind of a lot of experience at Algoma University, born and raised in Sault Ste. Marie. So any questions related to Algoma University or Sault College, I feel like I have a lot of knowledge. I got a great education at Algoma University, which led me into my career of being an accountant. I currently work for the Ontario Lottery Gaming Corporation and coach on the side. So a lot of experience coaching on both sides, on the university and the college level. And the unique thing about the Sault right now and both our programs is, we have a lot of connections between the university and the college right now. And both programs are really working together to kind of build up all of basketball for both programs. So it's a unique situation that we have right here, where we're able to be so close and really work together to build both programs together.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll take you through a little bit of the university first, sort of just an overview of what our campus looks like, just some general stuff about the school, and then I'll get more into the basketball side of things. So again, we're located in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Our team at the university is now in the OUA division of U Sports, which is the Canadian League. And we've been in the OUA now this would have been our 8th year. So when I first got here, we were OCAA, transitioned into the OUA 8 years ago. So here's a picture sort of like of the front of our campus. I think it's like really cute and quaint looking. It is a smaller school, one of the smaller universities in Ontario. Kind of reminds me of like Harry Potter-esque, but I think it's a cute little campus. This is one of our newer buildings. So we did an expansion since I've been here anyways in the last 8 to 10 years. This is where a lot of our biology programs, we have a lot of new labs. This has been awesome for our campus. This first picture of the housing, this is one of our housing, it's called Spirit Village. So that's like our townhouse living for university students. So it's like apartment style. So you live with a few people, shared accommodations, a little bit different than the first year residence, which looks more like the second picture where you have your own room and you have like a shared bathroom accommodation. It's nice that you have both options. Again, the more apartment style or just like your own small dorm room. A lot of our athletes generally come into campus for 1 year. Some transition into the townhouses, but a lot of us do live off campus. Like a lot of our athletes live in houses very close to the university, so you're still able to walk, bike, if you have a car, drive. But we have a lot within walking distance right around the university, grocery stores, food places. Again, smaller town, but lots for the girls. And that's the thing about small towns, we know lots of people. So we have different renters that rent out houses or that own houses that we're able to rent out of, which has been nice to keep all of our athletes together. And the bottom right picture is one of our newer residence buildings as well. And that's where a lot of like the first year residents go into before transitioning into the townhouse living. This is our George Leach Center. So this is our gym. It is also a public facility. So a lot of community members also have memberships here, which is a really cool thing because you get to know a lot of people in the community. You make a lot of connections. They were great. They come out to our games. You'll see later on, we took a trip to Portugal, not this past September, the one two before, 2019, So it was great to have a lot of community support in that. We definitely had to raise some funds for that. So again, having that small knit community feel at our gym facility is really nice. And I'll show you some pictures of the inside later. I have a video walkthrough for us to see. So this is a part of our expansion that happened, I don't know, maybe about eight years ago, 7 years ago. So when I first got to Algoma, we had like a tiny shoebox little weight room. And then this is what they built up one floor, and they put in a brand new weight room, which has been awesome for us and for all of our athletes. So this is kind of a quick little walkthrough of what it looks like. But again, I'll show you a video footage later, which gives you a better picture. This is sort of what it looks like when you're down on game day, if you're sitting on the bench. So nice view. We pull out our big bleachers. They say Algoma. We got a newer court a couple years ago. It was actually when Toronto hosted the NBA All-Star game. We actually bought the All-Star court, which was cool, and then just rebranded it with our colors. So that was like a really neat thing. We coach a lot of youth stuff, and we have a youth league called 705, and the kids were literally kissing the floor because they're like, Steph Curry could have been standing right here. LeBron James could have been in that corner. So it was a really cool thing for our community, especially a lot of the kids. Like, they absolutely loved it. We've also hosted some wrestling. So this is kind of what it looks like from an aerial view. When you look down, it's sort of, there's a big track around. Then we have our basketball court as the main court right in the middle. The picture's from the bleachers, but that's also a tennis court. So it's like 3 full courts. And there's a multi-purpose court on the far side. And then up top, the windows, that's where the weight room was that we saw in the picture. So just to kind of give a feel about what that looks like. So when we practice, we usually there's curtains around the gym. The middle one, it's all closed off, and that's our practice space. We also have some awesome outdoor facilities, which has been really nice. Those also got put in the last couple years. So the outdoor tennis courts, we have 4 outdoor hoops, which came in handy so much last summer when COVID started just changing things for everyone, when we were finally able to just like at least be outside. Super nice glass backboards and everything. So we were so thankful for that. Okay, yeah, so we did a virtual awards banquet this year since we weren't able to be in person. And one of our graduates had a really great speech. So I wanted to kind of share that with you, just so you kind of get that player feel. She was a 5-year player. She had been here. She's off now in Scotland pursuing a school of physiotherapy. So I'll play that for you guys and we can do a quick listen. Will it share the audio when I play the video as well?
Yeah, it should.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, give it a try. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Just let me know if it doesn't. Let me see.
Please join me in welcoming from basketball.
Can you hear that?
Carly Fraccalanza.
Yeah, it's a little low, but
My name is Karissa Kajorinne,
Here you go.
and I'm an alumni women's basketball player from Algoma. I'm actually currently pursuing my Master's of Physiotherapy in Scotland, but today I'm just going to talk a little bit about my time at Algoma. So throughout the 5 years I spent as a Thunderbird, I had an amazing experience. I met some of the greatest people and developed my basketball skills immensely while also obtaining my Bachelor of Science in Psychology. So to start off, when I was first getting recruited to Algoma, one thing that really stuck out to me was Coach Ryan. He was so persistent when communicating with me, and he just really showed how much he wanted me to play for Algoma. After I was committed, unfortunately, I tore my ACL. Before ever making it to the Sioux, I had to go through surgery, and ultimately, I knew I wouldn't be able to play my first year. Ryan was super supportive. I was really anxious to tell him and nervous he wouldn't want me to come play for him anymore, but ultimately, he made me feel like a large part of the team still. I was challenged with adversity before even stepping onto the hardwood. Being on the sidelines during practices and games, I had the opportunity to observe the game at a higher level than I was used to. I tried to see this as more of an advantage than a disadvantage at the time, while also keeping up with my rehab and basketball skills. I ended up getting a job at the GLC that summer and worked there the rest of my time at Algoma, working mostly at reception, but also participating and leading basketball camps and sports camps. My first summer in the Sioux was actually one of my best and favorites, and the reason why I chose to stay every summer after that. Through lots of one-on-one court time with Ryan, Skype calls with my surgeon, and laps around Hugo, I was fully recovered and ready to play my following season, finally. So my first year playing was a little bit of a challenge, but a huge blessing at the same time. I had missed playing so much, but at the same time I had to adapt my game to a higher level, the new game style, the amount of traveling we had to do, and the overall demand of being a student athlete. First year back by a couple years of rebuilding, and finally our absolute best season, and my best personally too, in my final year, where we fought so hard to get a place at playoffs, but unfortunately we fell a little bit short. Throughout all of these years, I have built some of the best relationships with teammates and friends, coaches, even community members that I will cherish forever. Overall, my experience as a Thunderbird has been unforgettable. I am missing the atmosphere of the zoo and the GLC a lot, so who knows, maybe in a couple of years I'll be back for my last little hurrah on the court. Thanks.
All right. So yeah, that was Carly Frackland. She just graduated from our program last season. She still has 1 year to play, so that was her little joke at the end. We always nag her to try to come back and play when she's done. But she's off in Scotland right now pursuing her career path, so that's awesome for her. But that at least gives you sort of the player feel and aspect. And as she was talking about, she's from Southern Ontario, she's from Sarnia. So she stayed her first summer to train to make sure she was ready for that first year of playing. And I was a similar scenario. Once you stay one summer, it's like hard not to stay because again, we have so much court time available to us. There's so much access to training. And just how much you can change over one summer when you really put all in, then it's awesome. So that was amazing to watch her grow as a player as well.
Thank you, Carly.
Okay, so a little bit more about the basketball component. So in our 8 years in the league, we've had consistent growth. As Carly was talking about, we just came off our best season. So we were just shy of playoffs. We just needed to get one win and we would have been right there. So that was great to see. We also definitely push academics as a team. We've been around that 80 overall average for the past few years. So this year we were at that 80.5. I think we had 9 out of our 14 players last year were academic All-Canadians. There's tons of community involvement. So like I said, we run a youth league. It's called 705. That's something that we started maybe 6 years ago. So we run a co-ed league for the kids. The players all coach both men's and women's players. It's just like a super fun atmosphere. We run it a couple nights a week. We also coach our Algoma Junior Thunderbirds. So our program coaches an all girls side of it. So we coach from grades 4 to grade 12. So we have a few different teams. And again, our players are heavily involved with that. And we try to get out there as much as we can. We do a lot of community things. I'll show you some pictures, but there's like a Terry Fox run we do every single year. Usually the college is out there too. We did it together. Just lots of stuff. I'll show you some pictures as they come up. And we've also pulled off some really big wins against some really big schools. So in my last year, we had a big run push against Carleton, who ended up winning nationals. They didn't lose a game after us, but that was like a huge upset win for us. And then I was also able to be on the coaching staff for a huge win against Ottawa, who was ranked 4th in the country at the time. So even though we're sort of one of those smaller schools, again, it shows that you can still be gritty and get those wins. So this was this past year's academic All-Canadians, some of them. Here's some of our community involvement. So even Pat made it in this one. So we did, it was called Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. So the coaches had to walk in high heel shoes, which was a really cool fundraiser they did here in the Sioux. So we supported them. There's some of our junior Thunderbirds there. Some of our all-girl camps that we've done. And then this is our Terry Fox run. As you can see, the all blue for Sault College and the all red for Algoma U. So that's just like a 5K we do every year. It's a nice thing, come together with the community, show our support. As I mentioned earlier, we had the opportunity to go to Portugal in September of 2019, which was super, super cool. The men's program had gone, I believe, the year or two before. I think Pat had maybe went with them when he was assistant coaching at that point. So we had the opportunity to go to the Azores Islands. We had a connection with one of the coaches who had coached the men's pro team there. And yeah, it ended up working out for us. So this was super cool. We got to sort of do like a mini training camp down there, practice every day, do some training on the beaches, training on the hills, get a few games in against the pro team there on the island, which was really, really neat experience for us. Here's us in the facility. So again, we practice 1 or 2 times a day, depending. We were there for about 10 days. Super cool bonding experience for the team. We were supposed to take our junior Thunderbirds team this past year, but obviously COVID kind of gave us some restrictions on that, but we were hoping to get them into a camp down there. But really nice connection to have to continue this, hopefully in the years to come. Just some pictures, did some nice hikes together. Just a lot of cool things you get to do, a little bit different than traveling within Canada. So we were very grateful for the opportunity to go. So that's it for on there. I will pull up a little bit of those virtual tours like I was saying, so you can kind of get a little bit better of a picture of what the 2 campuses look like. So Sault Ste. Marie is kind of a smaller city. We're about between 70, 80,000 population wise. Again, in the north, we're a little far from everything, but beautiful city, tons to do outdoors if you're into that kind of thing. I know as a team, we do lots of outdoor runs, outdoor hikes, anything we can do. There's water everywhere. It's super, super nice that way. So this is the Algoma campus. I'll kind of just push through really quick, but and I can also forward these links to you guys. So if anyone is very interested to take a look, there's lots for you to look through, but just again, the front of our campus, that's inside the library. This is our speakeasy. It's like a little study zone / pub area. What else do we got? This is the front of our gym. And I think there's some pictures you can see in here. So again, yeah, just our fitness area upstairs. I think there's a little video of it that I can play. So at least you get a little glimpse into what the facility looks like. Another thing I kind of mentioned earlier is the amount of court time available to us is awesome. Basically, we just split it between women's and men's basketballs because there's no other sports that need the court. We have a soccer program, but obviously they're outside. Wrestling uses the multi-purpose area. So again, we have that available gym time basically all day. You have the full day split between just the 2 teams, which is very, very nice. Let's see. So again, you kind of saw in the pictures, but there's the dorms. We have the little Spirit Village, which is the townhouses. The newer biology building, it's now called the SR Convergence Center. So this is our newest building. There's a little chapel on campus. Again, surrounded by lots of nice nature trails up in the north, but very cute, very nice residential area around the campus, a couple elementary schools. So yeah, it's definitely a really nice area. And then I'll kind of snap through some of the college as well. Whoops.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
I want to jump in with a quick question.
Yeah,
You had mentioned that the gym space is shared between just the women's team and the men's team. How often does each team practice? How often would you expect to be in a gym if you're playing on the Algoma U women?
yeah, for sure. That's a great question. So obviously it changes a bit from in season and out of season, just with your training schedule. But usually, both teams will have during the day individual workouts. So usually based on your position, you'll have an hour and a half, 2 hour skill session during the day. Usually you'll have weights a couple times a week. You get a weight program from our strength coach, and then you have a 2 hour practice Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday if you're playing Friday, Saturday. So you're looking at probably being on court twice a day. So you may not have the individual workout every single day, but usually you're trying to get shots up or whatever you're trying to do regardless, depending on your classes and your schedule that day.
Wow. So you're on the court basically every single day.
Yeah, definitely practices every day is a for sure. It's a guarantee. And then the individual workouts, I think during season, you're probably on twice a week just because you're only home Monday through Thursday. Then you got to get on the road, travel all weekend, come back, do it all over again. But like right before this past lockdown, we were able to get in the gym and we were going 2 hour practices a day. Obviously there's no games. So just trying to get the training in with the workouts a few times a week. And then again, with the extra gym time, our girls love to get in, get their shots up. We have 2 shooting machines, which is nice because then you're able to get your reps up really quickly. If say you're only to get into the gym for like an hour before you have class, you can get up like easily 500 shots, which is a great thing, obviously, to have access to at any time. And then the men's program similar. So we kind of just switch out times. They'll get a 2 hour block. We'll get a 2 hour block. They'll get a 2 hour block. We'll get a 2 hour block.
Wow. How does that compare with other schools or how does that compare with like say the Sault College side? And Coach Patrick, you can chime in if you'd like on this one too.
Very similar. Like you said, there's no other programs that use our gym. We don't have any volleyball or anything that uses our gym. All the intramurals, everything, our fitness programs are all run out of our second gym. So really our gym is 100% dedicated to basketball. So during the day, it's basically open during the day for individual workouts with assistant coaches, trainers, etc. And then practice times are very, very similar. For those who don't know, like training camps are usually going to start at the end of August, and it's going to be all the way through till February, March. So it is a long season of training, and every day, right? Every day there's something. Obviously, there's days off here and there for rest, but it's a huge commitment at either level. It's a huge commitment. So if you're not a gym rat, you better turn into one, because the schools have made the gym available for the players at those times. So it's expected that those players are in there at those times, as well as putting shots up on their own to get better, right? Because that's a big thing. Development is such a huge thing. With your 5 years of eligibility, you can go from you can see big swings in players from in 1 year to 5 years. That's a lot of time for development. And both schools, like I said, have very similar in sizes and availability for gym and options. So a lot of time to be able to put in that time in the gym.
And I'm gonna guess that's not the same for every school in your league, because like I said, I have experience with schools in Toronto, and I know for a fact that they're not in the gym every day, or they don't have that kind of accessibility, or I don't know if the rules dictate that they can't be. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know a lot of other schools, depending on how many gyms they have. Some of them, if they only have one gym, they're competing with a lot of classes that actually have to use that gym for their learning, such as health and fitness classes who have to use the gym, workout facilities for classes and stuff, which makes it unavailable to athletics at that time. But both campuses here, a big thing about Algoma and Sault College as well. I know Chris has mentioned that they're small and quaint and everything, but class sizes are small. So you're not going to be a number. And I know that's a big thing of importance for people, that you're not a nobody, right? Your teachers are going to know your name at both schools. You know, I know through my whole playing career, teachers would come out to the games, you know, as well as, you know, being very supportive. Then when I would go to class, you know, they know who I am because there's only 20, 25 people in that class, which also puts a little more emphasis on the education as well, because, you know, you're standing out as an athlete and those teachers know who you are, so you can't slip, right? Because those teachers are probably going to have higher expectations on you because you're a student athlete. It's just, I think, a thing that in the environment that, you know, we kind of expect a little more out of our athletes. And I think you saw with all those academic all Canadians that you saw there, that really demonstrates that educational factor of it.
Yeah, definitely. And with the small class sizes, that's another thing. Being a student athlete is tough. It is like you're juggling so much. You're trying to get good grades. You're trying to go to all your classes. You're trying to keep up with your sports, get better, maybe work a part-time job, like whatever you're trying to do. And being on a small campus, that helped me so much in my undergrad at Algoma, because again, your profs know you, they support you, they want you to succeed in both your avenues that you're going down. So again, we're traveling, we're on the road. The SU's kind of far. We have long road trips. So again, if you need some help with your stuff in your classes, if you need a little bit of an extension here or there, like they're willing to work with you as long as you're putting in the work as well. Like you can't just fly under the radar, like Pat said, and that was super helpful. And I think all of our student athletes really, really respect that and enjoy that being a part of either program. And to speak to, sorry, I just remembered too, how you're saying with gym time. So I also played 1 year at Lakehead, but yeah, that was the case for us. So we shared the gym, our team, we had men's basketball, there's volleyball, community people rented out our gym. So again, it wasn't always gym availability. So if you wanted to get shots up, sometimes you'd have to go at like 6 a.m. You have that 1 hour time slot before class, whereas like it's still doable, but it was definitely nice having the gym available pretty much all day while I was at Algoma.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go ahead and continue with the Sault College portion of the presentation. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I'll click through some pictures here. So again, Sault College, it's like maybe a 5-minute drive from the university, kind of just up the hill. We kind of say like up the hill. I don't know, it's just like a big hill. But anyways, I'll click through. So that's kind of the front of the college. I think it kind of goes through, but it looks like on the inside. It's definitely a little more modern looking than some of the university. We'll head over to the gym because this is the good stuff. But Pat, how long ago did you guys get the new gym facility?
It's probably been about 5 years now, I think.
Okay. And do you want to talk about your facility? You know a little bit more than me, so.
Yeah. So like I said, facility is pretty new. Same thing with the weight room and stuff at Algoma. Very, very new facility, which is great for the athletes. Our overall program as a whole has seen a big change over the past couple of years, where, you know, basically new athletic director came in. We brought in an athletic director from UBC, who was a standout national coach, winning university football championships. And that mentality has been brought over to our school now. So there's been a big revamp of coaches, priorities, everything. So a lot more effort has been put into our athletics. Speaking specifically to the women's side, right now, I just took over the men's program 2 years ago. And right now I am managing the operations over the women's program right now. And that's where Karissa is helping me out with building the women's program up right now. So our program, very young right now. And that's where working with Algoma University together to build up both those programs, because we do have a lot of combinations from the education side. We have a lot of 2-and-2 programs where you can come to Sault College, get your 2-year certificate, or you can even do your first 2 years of your degree in certain programs, such as, you know, business, child and youth, early childhood education stuff. So there's a lot of partnerships between the two that have a lot of benefits where, you know, if you're not quite ready for that university, you know, some people, you know, are developing a little later, come and play the college for a couple of years, transition into that university level. So there's a lot of transition programs that are, you know, have been put in place, and a lot more coming in place. And that's where you'll see that connection between both programs, which is kind of unique. I know every university usually has transitional programs, but just the fact that we're side by side, we do a lot of stuff together. Players already know each other. You're going to know the coaches from both sides because we do a lot of stuff together. That's where just a lot of the opportunity between the two programs exist right now. Like I said, a lot of emphasis has gone into our athletic program over the last couple of years. We've added a couple more programs because I won't lie, a couple of years ago, a lot of our programs weren't very good. And that's where we kind of had to clean house, brought everything new in, and we've seen a lot of success. A couple of years ago, hockey was kind of the priority where we brought in our hockey program. Because of where we live, we're on a border in Sault Ste. Marie, so I can throw a rock across the river and I'm in Michigan. So a lot of stuff, both similar to what Algoma does as well, is we play a lot of games in the States. So last year, I know for our men's program, we played a couple Division II, junior college, NAIA teams, which were, an hour or two away. So, we say we're pretty far, but I mean, I can be in Detroit in 5 hours. I can be in Green Bay in 4 hours. And there's, in the States, there's schools everywhere. So it's not hard for us. We do play a lot of exhibition games in the States, so it's a different atmosphere. Like I said, so that's where a hockey team actually plays in a league in the States. And they won a championship 2 years ago for, as the only Canadian team in the league of all American schools. So it was pretty awesome. So that's kind of where our direction is going, is in building up our program. We did our hockey. Now we're focusing on building up our basketball programs right now. But yeah, that's one thing, just having that connection with the US right there. It's a unique perspective that, some people might never have played a game in the States against different types of competition. And there's so much competition there that really helps us develop our players in the off season. So
no, thanks, Pat. That was awesome. That's something I totally forgot about, actually, is the States. But yeah, definitely cool part of it. Again, too, with our programs at the university level anyways, right now, it may seem far from home. I know you guys talked some West schools, some East schools. So again, those are far as well. But when you do come together, especially as you know, on teams, you do become family, and that's like exactly how it is here. We have players from all over the place. We have a player from Japan. We just graduated a girl from New Zealand, Brazil, right? All over Ontario, some from Manitoba. So again, you come together, and again, it's just a family atmosphere, which is a great thing. Small school, another family atmosphere. A lot of our girls live together. You get that connection in so many different ways here. And it was something I fell in love with. I come from a little bit bigger of a city, a little bit more north, but I ended up moving back here after I finished school at home. So again, huge connection to community. And it's something that I'm sure you all have been a part of in some way where you're from. And I don't know. I hope that gave you some information anyways. And I'm sure you've heard some similar aspects in regards to playing. And if you have any questions, again, would love to answer in the future. Again, we can stay in contact and I can get back to you guys with whatever you guys need.
Thanks, Coach. Actually, I have another question right off the bat. Coach Patrick had mentioned 2+2s, which is something I have experience with. So and so what we're talking about is players being able to play in college or go to college programs and then take those credits that they earned in college and take them into whatever university programs. Do you know which programs or what courses I guess that pertains to more often than not?
So the unique thing I think, which might be a little bit different from some of the other schools, is not only will your credits count over as well, but you'll get, so say you want to do one of the big ones right now is the business program. So you could go to university for 4 years, get your 4-year Bachelor of Business Administration with whatever, specialization that you want. Here we have the 2-and-2, where you can go take your business program at Sault College, graduate after 2 years with your business certificate, and those 2 full years will count 100% for your first 2 years at Algoma University. So you'll go there, you'll hop right into your 3rd year of your business, take your 4th year, and you'll graduate with your 4-year Bachelor of Business Administration degree. So in those 4 years, you'll be able to get your certificate as well as your degree, and it won't be based on, the school won't look at it and say, hey, we're going to take 50% of your credits that are coming over. No, those whole first 2 years are going to transition over. And I know there's a couple others with some of the early childhood education ones. A lot of my players seem to kind of have floated towards those with the childhood education, child and youth care, which transition into some of the like psychology courses and stuff at the university level. But those are a couple of the ones that, that kind of have that partnership and unique advantage there.
I would imagine, and like you mentioned, a lot of the girls or players, men or women, who play at Sault College and are doing a 2-2 kind of naturally go to Algoma, or is there another school like who may compete for those students and those athletes nearby?
That's why, just because of our situation, we have those connections to be able to build up with Algoma University. There are some connections with Laurentian right now with those 2-2s, but I'm not sure right now if those programs, Laurentian's kind of is in a unique situation right now. And I'm not sure if those programs were cut as part of some of the stuff that they had there. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think, we're not, we haven't been so selfish that, if a player has a program at another school, we're going to do what we can to get them there. I know I've had a couple of my men's players who have some plans to go to some other schools. We got one to a university last year. I have another one who's working on a university school, transitioning from Sault College back out west. So, it's more if we can build the program around the player. And if we have that communication, we have a couple already who, haven't even been to Sault College yet, but, we already have a plan set up for them to come to Sault College and then go to Algoma University, because we've fit that education program and both coaches have been involved from the recruiting side. So, we've already developed those relationships there. So, it all comes down to an individual player basis and what their situation is, but we're going to try to do what we can to put the player in the best situation where they can be successful.
Thanks, Coach. And I guess officially this can be our Q&A period. I don't know, Coach K, if that concluded the visual portion of your presentation. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. And it was great. And I guess we can get that somewhere, or.
Yeah, I'll send you an email with a few different links. I just didn't want to overwhelm with too much today, but yeah, there's some great like videos, virtual tours. There's tons about the universities. But yeah, I'll definitely send you some different links to follow along. We have our women's team has an Instagram. I know most people are on social media, so you can follow that too if you want to kind of follow along with some of that stuff. Yeah, I'll definitely send that all over to you.
That's good. And I'm recording the presentation as well, so everybody will be able to see that as well after the fact. So I guess we're officially in Q&A. I have lots of questions, but I want players and other coaches to also be able to get their questions in. Who wants to go first? Who's got a question?
I have a question.
Oh. Yeah, go ahead, Shael.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I guess like playing like so close to like the States and having like the opportunities to like play down there, do players get like recruited or like noticed being like, I guess, from Canada?
So like when we go over, do American schools kind of try to like pick some of our players?
Yeah.
That's never really happened again. We sometimes get JUCO grads that come over here to finish, because in Canada, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but in Canada, you get 5 years of eligibility playing at post-secondary, whereas in the States, you only get 4 years. So if you are to do both, you're allowed to play 3 in America and finish your last 2 in Canada. You can't do like a 4-in-1, because once you finish your 4 years in America, it kind of wipes out all your eligibility. So a lot of our players that we recruit, they're here 4 or 5 years, like they want the 5 years. That's kind of why they looked at Canadian schools. We have had a couple different players from Michigan and a few other places in the States that again did a 2 or 3 year junior college stint and then finished off with us in Canada. So they got their 5 years. So it's never happened that a player's left a Canadian school from us anyways and gone to an American one. But that is a really good question. I had never really thought of it that way before.
Thank you.
Can you go 4-1, like 4 in Canada and then 1 in the
No,
US?
I think at one point in time you could, but they kind of banned that because I think like so many people were doing it. So you can do 3 as your max in America before you transfer over into Canada to get your last 2.
Okay, so you can go 3 in the US, 2 in Canada.
Yeah.
What about 3 in Canada, any in the US, maybe 1 in the US?
Yeah, maybe you'd get 1. I'm not 100% sure about, I know the States has like really strict clearinghouses to get into depending on your leagues, but maybe 3 in 1, that's a possibility. I'm not too sure.
On an overall perspective on that question, over the past few years, there's been a huge influx of players actually coming back to Canada to play. It's just, I think, spoke highly of the league in Canada, and the development of all the coaches and everything in Canada, where, you know, players will go to the States and they'll play 1 or 2 years and you know, then they'll realize, hey, you know, I want to come back home and play. And the leagues are so good now that there's just been a really high influx of players who are, you know, either going playing a couple years JUCO or you know, maybe even playing a Division 1, Division 2 NAIA, and then coming back to Canada. That said, there are still some players who have gone, you know, from the college or university league to the States, whether that exposure, I know there are a couple situations where, you know, Canadian teams played American schools, and then the American schools kind of came in and swiped the player up by offering them a good deal. So there is, you know, it has happened in the past. Yeah.
Thanks, Shail. Good question. You know, I want to stay on the eligibility topic real quick. And Coach K, this kind of has a lot to do with you. So you started at Algoma U when Algoma U was in the OCAA.
Correct. Yeah.
That was in around 2012.
Yeah, it would have been, I think, 2012, 2013.
Put that out there. And but you finished 2019.
I think my last season would have been, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I was here for 5 years. I took a year off, and then I played my last year, maybe 2017, 2018, somewhere in there.
Okay. So how did eligibility work, you know, through your journey, right? You went OCAA and then Algoma and then Lakehead, with the year in between.
Yeah, so my first year when I first came, so I left Thunder Bay, which we had a university there, Lakehead. I was offered to play there as well, but I felt I needed more development. So I came up here, OCAA, wanted to play for at least a couple years to get some experience. After being here for 1 year, I found out, or it came about, that we were going to be transitioning into the OUA. So then I was able to play 3 years here until I graduated my program, but I also had to sit a year in there because of an injury. So I was here for 5 years in school, and I played 4. So 1 year OCAA, 3 years OUA. And you're able to, even if our school wasn't transitioning over to the OUA, you can still transition out. So like we were saying with our 2-and-2 programs, you can still go from college to university without having to sit a year of eligibility. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you transfer from an OUA school to another OUA school, you do have to sit a year. With some exceptions, like post-grad programs. But say I went to Algoma for 2 years, decided I wanted to move home, I would not be able to play that following year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so within the league itself, you can't. So once I graduated from Algoma, if I would have tried to go to Lakehead right away, I would have had to sit 1 year. But I took a year off anyways. I had no intentions of playing anymore. I had to have a knee surgery, so I kind of was over everything, and took a year off anyways. Went to Teachers College at Lakehead, and then ended up somehow playing my last year, which I'm very thankful for. I'm glad I got to play out my 5 years. Again, that is one of the positives about playing in Canada. You do get your 5. So finished there. And yeah, so that's kind of how it works eligibility wise. So you can't transfer within the league, but you can transfer, say, up or down, because you're switching programs usually when that happens from college to university. So some people sometimes graduate university and go take a specific program at a college. They can bump over and still play, and then same the other way as well.
So if you transfer within the league, you lose 1 year, or you don't lose a year, but you have to sit a year, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you were to say transfer from OUA to U Sports in say like Manitoba, would you have to sit a year?
I think the same would apply. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure it applies throughout the whole league, that if you're transferring schools, there are some exceptions, like school exceptions, but so like say you're taking a post-grad program, you're able to play right away. So say you graduate a program at one school and you're continuing your education for a post-grad. And a few other minor ones that I'm not 100% sure on, but I'm pretty sure transparently throughout the league, you can't just transfer just for any other reason.
Yeah, those are U Sport rules. So those are coming from the Canadian league, and then each provincial, or like Pac West, OUA, those all fall under that jurisdiction.
Okay, so then good point, Patrick. What about the OCAA? What are the rules in terms of transfers within the OCAA?
It's a little different, like Karissa said, where you can transfer up. So that's where if you play your years at college, you're right away eligible. You don't have to sit if you're going to play at a university, but same thing if you're going college to college. I think the official rule is you have to be like 1 year within that 1 year time period. So if you play, say, a couple games in the start of the season, you have to wait 1 year from that point during that year to sit. So, sometimes you'll see if there's injuries and stuff, there are some exceptions to that. But for the most part, it's pretty much if you play the full year, try to go to another school within that same league, you're going to have to sit for the year.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thanks. All right. Anybody else have a question for the coaches? Official Q&A.
Quick question, kind of on the same topic, and I don't know if you know the answer, Coach K. I was just checking on your minors and programs, and I noticed that there's one engineer program, but it says only first year. So when I look at the details, it says it's the engineer first year, and then it's a pathway to Laurentian University Bachelor of the engineering program. So I guess there's no full engineering program in Algoma.
Engineering, sorry?
Right.
No, not at Algoma. So, Pat, you might know a little bit more about this, but when I first got here, were we not in connection sort of with Laurentian Algoma before we became independent?
Yeah, so before it used to be Algoma. Years and years ago, Algoma was an affiliate of Laurentian. So it was actually, if you went like, I know there's other universities that have like almost sub-camps, but it was just Laurentian was kind of the one granting the degrees for them. So that's where there were some partnerships between Algoma and Laurentian, where you could start your program at Algoma and it would lead into the Laurentian. But I believe for this engineering stuff that's on there, it's new. So they're new programs at Algoma University. So there hasn't been any, I guess, it hasn't been around very long. So I think they started with the first year, and I think their plan is to roll in, with being able to grant, I think possibly a 3 or 4 year degree from Algoma for that. But that one I know specifically, though, that's a newer program that Algoma has started. So that's kind of where it's just in the initial phases for that. And I think that's why there was the transition with Laurentian, just because it was a newer program.
So that would be taking the first year in Sault Ste Marie and then the rest in Sudbury?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So in that regards, if somebody were to join that program, would the eligibility be affected by it because there's a different university at Laurentian?
I'll be honest, that's a unique one where I don't have the answer for you on that one. I could see, maybe there might need to be a ruling on something like that. But there's always those special situations that come up where maybe it's never come up and no one's ever tried it yet. So it's one of those where there's no precedent that hasn't been set for that yet. So that might be one of those situations right now.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure the answer to that one either, straight up. But yeah, I know there are certain cases with programs where it has been granted, like and one of my old teammates, I think she was at a certain campus and that program got cut. So kind of similar to scenarios maybe happening at Laurentian right now. And she was able to transfer because her program was lost at that school. So again, those are different things. Yeah, you'd have to sort of look into U Sports rule wise.
Okay. I found it interesting how that was, and when you were talking about the eligibility, kind of
Yeah, definitely.
made sense on that. Okay, cool. Thanks.
I have a question. Hi, it's Mervin Busby, the coach of the U17 team.
Hey, Mervin,
Yeah.
your mic. I don't know. Maybe you got to speak closer to your mic. I'm not hearing you very well.
Now,
Not too great.
can you hear?
I know you're talking.
I'm not sure why you can't hear me. I'm unmuted.
I can hear you. It's a little muffled, but I can hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, there's some girls on the line right now who, one of things kinesiology, one psychology. Your program sounds interested because, as you know, no one's played in Toronto for a while. So the fact that we can get in the gym for roughly 4 hours a day, give and take the time of the season, sounds very attractive. But the problem is, if you don't have the program that I want, so for example, the college, you don't have a psych kind of program, okay? But I do want to go psych, okay? And the other program is you don't have a kinesiology program, and I do want to go kinesiology. Is there an opportunity? So for example, if I do go to your school, the college, that I can still play or transfer out to a school that has my program? So for example, I do know Algoma has psychology, but I can't go to your school, the college, and then go directly to Algoma because there's nothing there for me in terms of psychology. So my brief question is there opportunities for kids to go to colleges, for example, yours, where the balling is awesome, but the school, the academics don't really match up perfectly? So, I mean, we always tell the kids, follow wherever the academics is. But in this year, where no one's playing and is an awesome opportunity to get in the gym all the time to sort of make up for lost time, is there a scenario where these guys could still come to your school, play for a couple years, and then there's not the 2-on-2? Would they have to go back to another university and start from scratch, you know, to get into?
So is this just for the college or for both? Sorry.
Well, it seems like most of these guys would want to go college. If they're going to do something like that, they would probably have to go college, because if they go university, then they're transferring out. Then they're sitting out a year. Okay, so the college level, you don't have to sit out. Like, so example, I want to do psychology. The college doesn't have psychology. The university does, but I want to go college first. Okay, how does that work? Okay, if you don't have the program, like for example, the other kid has kinesiology. It would be great to come play for you guys, but there's no kinesiology anywhere. But I do know there's other schools that I could transfer out to that do have kinesiology. For example, Humber Guelph, you know, so I would be able to transfer there with my program. My basic question is, yeah, what happens if you just don't match? Like, the balling is great for you, but the programs that you have don't fit what I want. What can I do?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I don't have all the answers. Again, academic advisors are great for this, but there's tons of different pathways to get through programs that we're not necessarily always aware of. So I'll speak to the university side of it. Again, we've had players, the video I shared, she wanted to be a physiotherapist. We had no health sciences for her to take. So she took her Bachelor of Science psychology first, and then took kind of a different route to get to her physio school. So I'm sure there are other programs beside the specific kinesiology and maybe the specific psych through the college that if you talk to academic advisors, they could sort of route you through how you could still get your credits and then transfer to other universities. I don't know if Pat, you know any more about like the content exactly, but I know the advisors are really good at kind of helping find pathways for that stuff.
Yeah, the advisors are, you know, they're wizards with being able to match up courses and stuff. So like you said, I know, say you want to do a 4-year, you know, psych or 3 or 4-year psych program at say at Algoma University, and, you know, but you want to play a little bit at the college level. So, and they might not have the program, depending, no matter what the school is, the universities will always accept credits. And those credits can be accepted towards, say, like I said, you have a 3-year psych degree at the university level. And if you know that that's your end goal that you want to do, when you're picking you can pick, because there's a lot of electives that go into every degree, right? I know when I was doing my business and accounting program, I was having to take, some social courses, some psych courses, geographies, just to get, that wider range and fill in those electives. And those are things that you can take at the college level, where those credits will carry over to the university. That's why I said you'd have to speak, with the advisors to have a set plan to make sure that those credits transfer over. So that's a situation where you could do a year at the college and then come out with maybe 30 or 40 credits that will count towards your psych degree, so that when you're now at university, you don't have 3 full years to do. You might have 2 years of your specialized psych courses to do, but you've already done all of your elective courses, which will count towards that degree.
Good question, Mervin. Does anybody else have anything? Any other questions? Thought I saw Micah reaching for her mute button, but maybe not. No. All right. I know, Vic, you might have had a question planned.
Yeah, I had questions. So, how would you describe your coaching style? And also during your practices, which you guys work on the most basketball-wise?
That's actually a good question. Those are always tough ones. Like, how do you describe your style? Well, I'm an assistant coach. So the cool thing about being an assistant coach is you kind of get to be like the good guy, the fun one, joke around a little bit more. I'm still recently out of playing, so it's nice that I kind of still have that connection with the girls. It's always nice to have a female on staff, if possible, with a female team. Again, there's just that connection. I know what they're going through a little bit more. They feel a little bit more comfortable sometimes going to a female, which is great. Again, there's always things, but what do we work on most? That's such a good question. Just depends on the time of year. Again, when we come into training camp, again, it's just about getting in shape, working on skill work, just kind of repping things to get back into the swing of everything. And then once you're in season, I guess this might be new. I don't know if any of the other coaches talk about this, but kind of when you're in season, things roll over so fast because you're always prepping for the weekend. So you have a team coming up. You might play a different team Friday, different team Saturday. So your week is kind of more strategic, right? You're working on team-oriented stuff. How are you defending the team? What are their sets? How are you defending their sets? What is our offensive game plan? Going over your sets. So yeah, during season, it's a lot more strategic. And then you're getting your skill work during the individual workout times and then on your own time. But yeah, pre and post season, it's a lot of skill and player development. That never stops no matter what level you're at. You're never your best ever. Again, you can always get better. So tons of skill development, always pushing to be in the best shape you can possibly be in. One thing we really push for is like when you leave a season, your biggest goal should be you want to come in the next season in better shape than you left the last. That's something that really pushed me in my career was like, okay, season's done, you take your break, your body needs the rest, you bang all season. Again, it's long, you come in August, you go till February, you take your rest, but then you get right back into it again. You never want to lose that. And you really want to push yourself to get to that next level for that next season. So I kind of hope that answers at least in regards to how we practice. And then coaching style, again, I don't really know how to answer that. I'm the fun one. I'm the assistant right now. Coach Ryan, he's the head coach of our team. Carly in the video kind of spoke about him. But when I was getting recruited here, my biggest thing, and I think Carly kind of mentioned it too, was like, he's just very honest. I think it's like the best policy with everything. So again, whatever you need to hear is what he's going to tell you. And I never found him off the radar. Like I've never, you know what I mean, throw stuff. Some coaches are really, really passionate in the sense of like they need to be in it. I don't know if anyone saw Last Chance U on Netflix, the coach there. So again, great guy. Again, he's very passionate, which all coaches are, but definitely comes across in a more cool and calm way, I would say. I don't know if Pat, you kind of attest to that. You've coached with Ryan. Maybe you'll be able to touch that too, but that's kind of what it's like for us here anyways. Likes to be a little bit goofy. We have fun. Like it's not all serious all the time. You still need to enjoy what you're doing and have passion for it in that way. So I think it's like a good balance of us connecting as a family, having what we need to do and getting that done. Like that's obviously first, and then like really enjoying it as we do it. And then Pat, yeah, if you want to speak to sort of the college environment, what you guys have been up to.
Yeah, I think you hit on a big key point there, is that practices are going to change throughout the year. Usually for the first 2 months of the season, starting in September, October, a lot of individual skill development. There's so much time on that. And then during the season, your practice is going to be a lot of team stuff. A lot of every week you're playing a different team. So what's going to be your approach for that game? So a lot of it's going to be that team side of it. And then, like we said, it's not just an hour and a half practice a day. So all your individual skill is now going to come outside of that practice time. And where you're going to have that individual skill with, individual workouts, weights and stuff. So it's going to kind of be split up a little bit during the season throughout there. And most schools are pretty much follow that process just based on the schedules that we have and the upcoming games, et cetera. And I think for the, I guess for coaching styles, I think everybody's moving towards, and the league in general for both university and are moving to a lot of, as you're seeing in international play, a lot of guard play, a lot more usage of the 3-point line. So a lot of programs are kind of encompassing that, which is based on a lot of individual skill, a lot of different people handling the ball, a lot of interchangeable positions. But the biggest thing I think, and with both programs is, we have to adapt what our style is based on the players. We have to be adaptable, and I think both programs have done that to get the most out of their players and to put their players in a position where they can be successful. If I don't have any bigs, I'm not going to run an offense that's low post matchup centralized. So it's looking at your players and seeing where they're going to fit best. And then, coming up with a combination of being adaptable to what their skill set is. So like I said, so you're not asking something that they can't do. And I think, like I said, there's a lot more guard play and a lot more movement. The game's gotten a lot faster. I know people probably don't remember back in the day before when, shot clocks weren't existent in our games. I remember back at playing high school and stuff, there was no shot clock. So, the style was very different. But, now the game's up and down a lot. So, everybody's got to be in shape a little bit more. Everybody's got to be able to run, handle the ball in transition, because that's such a big part of the game right now.
Yeah, and I think too, just to speak off Pat there, like the versatility of the game, like you can change so much in your time as university. Like you have 5 years to dedicate like everything you have, and that's all you're going to have is those 5 years, unless you're fortunate enough to continue past there in pro leagues or whatever else you may pursue. But like I came in my first year non-shooter. I was kind of like a slasher, probably out of shape. But then I finished in my 5 years and I'm like a very efficient, effective shooter. So you have so much you can change in those 5 years, and you're only going to get what you put in. So again, you decide what kind of player you want to be, who you want to be in those 5 years. You guys have had your time growing up till now to develop, but those 5 years are so crucial. And again, you can do so much, and we're so fortunate to have that gym time. I definitely would not have been the player I finished my career if I didn't come to Sault Ste. Marie, to be honest. Like I just had so much accessibility to what I needed to change my game and be happy with where I was in those 5 years. So definitely, yeah, I loved that opportunity.
Thanks, coaches. Raha, I believe you had a question. Calling Raha next.
Yes, good evening. My question was more about the recruitment. So what would you mainly look for in terms of character traits or like basketball style, I guess you could say, when for first year players?
That's a really good question. I think that changes in regards to skill and positionally. I think that changes year to year. Again, if we have 6 point guards, probably not looking for a point guard. So it kind of just depends on your recruiting class for that year. Some years teams have bigger swings of recruitment than others. So it just depends for position that way. But like Pat mentioned, things are so versatile. Like you can play 1 through 4 easily nowadays in our league. Character traits, definitely someone who's just hardworking. You don't want one of those players who kind of brings down your team's energy in regards to effort. That's a huge one. I think the family component's so big. So just being able for everyone to connect, you need to be open-minded. I think effort is one that stands out the most to me when I think about our rookies from this past season. I know it's been crazy for any rookie in the league this past year, having no season, no games. It was just literally practicing for a whole year. So I commend everyone that was in this year, but definitely effort. I wouldn't say skill is the biggest, especially if I was looking to recruit players. Again, you can develop so much in 5 years, and it all comes back to that effort, how much you're willing to put in. And I think that's kind of one of those easy things to spot out in a player. I don't know if you have anything else, Pat, but yeah, I think it definitely changes year to year in regards to positions of what you're kind of looking for.
Yeah, I'd say you said the versatility is a big thing. Showing that you have the ability to do multiple things out there. But one thing, you know, is the biggest thing coming out, if you can shoot the ball already, and I mean shoot the ball, right? If you can shoot the ball, teams are always going to find a spot for shooters out there. But like you said, you have to be versatile. So that's such a big part of the game right now, is showing off multiple facets of the game, being able to defend as well as, you know, transition, being that good teammate. You know, coaches are always looking at everything and not just, you know, those highlight clips. You know, and I think that's a big part of right now for the recruiting process right now, especially with the virtual world we live in right now, is, you know, for you young players, is being able to showcase all of that stuff in film. You know, coaches all the time, we're getting clips, and, you know, a lot of times players will send out a clip and it'll be a one minute clip showing them hit 5 shots, you know, a couple free throws. And, you know, it's hard for coaches to really, you know, base something off of that. So that's why, you know, a big thing is if you are coming up with film, you know, you are sending out your film to coaches and stuff, you know, show off everything that you can do, right? Don't mistake, you know, some little thing that you might be doing on defense. You know, that's stuff that coaches are looking for your ability to play defense. So if you're showing you can guard bigs, you can guard littles, you can guard wings, you know, showing off that versatility of skill as opposed to just, you know, a 1 minute clip. Give a full game film, right? Give a full game film out there so that coaches can actually look at you for a full game. And you might not think that there's something good that you're doing in that film, but coaches, you know, we've seen so much film, we'll be able to pick out those things that you might not even know you're good at, right? But we'll be able to see those in a full game clip, as opposed to just that 1 minute, you know. I know they're fun and stuff for the Instagram highlights and Twitter highlights and stuff of, you know, crossing somebody up. But, you know, give coaches a full outlook, and, you know, coaches will really appreciate that, especially with the time that we're in right now.
Yeah, I think one thing too that I didn't touch on is body language. So when you're able to see like a live game or actual game film, you're able to see the body language throughout the game, offensively, defensively. How affected is a player by a turnover? How affected is a player by a missed shot? How are they on the bench? How are they with their teammates? Those are like huge things, like sort of like little intangible things almost that, again, you may not think of, but us being able to see that in film is huge as well.
So that being said, I'm going to ask my last question here. And just kind of playing off what you guys were saying, how does, in this landscape where you have players who haven't played basketball in literally like 18 months at this point, and who may not have game film because the last time they played basketball, maybe they were in grade 10. Some girls here might have been in grade 9 the last time they played basketball, and they weren't thinking that far ahead that they need game film to give to a college coach. How would, like, let's say you have a superstar on this call, how would you know? How would you know? How would they let you know? How would you do that in this day and age?
No, that's a great question. I know we've received some different film this year. Things have been obviously tricky for anyone to get game film. So say they haven't had past game film. When we were able to get in gyms, they were sending some on-court workouts. So they would just video if they were 1-on-0, or if there was a coach with them, they would kind of send us just to see how they move. So if they were able to get in and do that. We had some really creative stuff sent to us, like someone doing like 2-ball stuff in their basement. That's all they have was the concrete in their basement, their 2 balls. So just sort of some skill work with that sort of stuff. Definitely you need to be a little bit more inventive. Reaching out is never a bad thing. So again, if you need to reach out and you need to contact coaches are always fairly pretty receptive anyways of stuff you're sending out, even if just to reach out, even if you have no footage at all. If you send out emails, usually that's fairly a good start anyways to get a contact. I'm trying to think what else we got some footage of this year. Some like small one-on-one games in driveways. People have been super inventive of trying to send us stuff. And even if you do have really old game film, say you did have like a game grade 9 tape, we did receive some of that stuff this year as well. So just trying to find new ways to kind of showcase some stuff anyways. And I don't know if Pat, you've seen much this year, anything different?
Yeah, it's tough. I couldn't imagine, I'll be honest, I couldn't imagine being a player right now. And I feel, you know, for the players who aren't able to get that stuff to showcase themselves off. Yeah, be unique, right? You know, be self-aware of what you are, you know, when you're typing up emails and stuff to coaches. You know, don't just send out a generic email to a coach. You know, sometimes you'll get an email where you'll see, you know, every coach in Canada is CC'd on it, and they're like, "Hey, coach, I want to play." Right? Most coaches, you know, that's something where they're going to look and say, "Okay, you know, don't know anything about this player. There's nothing here." You know, before you send it out, be selective. I would say, you know, like we said, make sure you're sending it to schools that have your program, right? So you know, communicate what you're looking for, you know, and communicate what you can do, right? If it's just listing off your skills, reference some coaches that can attest to your skill set as well. You know, through the pipeline, you know, coaches know coaches know coaches. So you know what, there's a lot of emphasis that coaches will put on references from other coaches that they know. You know, and that's a big reliance that, you know, we might put on. I've had guys where I've had no film on, but you know, I know someone who speaks very highly of them. I trust them a lot, and you know, they've sent it to me, and they've been great. So, but you know, really put some thought into what you're sending to coaches, because basically it's like you're applying, you know, it's like your resume, right? If I'm preparing my resume for a job, you know, I want to highlight everything, you know, what my skill sets are, what I can provide, why I'm going to be a good teammate, you know, what I'm looking for in the school. Because I think it was brought up before, you know, if you don't have the education or if you don't have the program, it's going to be tough for the school. You know, how are you going to get to that school? So make sure that you're, you know, if you are sending stuff out, that they have the program that you want, because that's going to be the first thing. Is if you don't have that program, then it's kind of going to be a waste of time of you talking, taking that effort, and then being like, oh, you don't have my program, I'm going to look at another school. So be prepared, right? Have your backup there. And right now it's pretty much any film right now that you can provide or show off your skill sets of being unique, trying to show off, you know, what you can do and what you can provide to that team, and you know, why you're going to be a valuable asset.
Thanks, Coach. All right. That said, I don't want to keep you guys too long. It's already almost 9:30 Eastern here, so I guess we can wrap up. Well, next steps from here. Can I put out both of your contact information for players to get in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm great with that. Pat, you as well? Yeah. Okay.
Yep, 100%.
Great. And I just want to highlight something Pat said, which is coaches know coaches. And university coaches have conversations with me all the time about players on my team, and I'm sure Coach Mervin, same idea. So everything you do, you know what I mean, is being highlighted in one way or another, right? And I would say players just got to reach out, like Coach Pat said, Coach K said, just reach out, and never hurts to reach out and start that process, right? Because coaches may already know about you, right? They may just be waiting to hear from you, right? It's like, what about that kid Coach Cream told me about, can flat out ball? I haven't heard from her, right?
Yeah,
you can only do so much.
That connection is everything, and it goes a long way. I think you heard in that video that you saw from Carly, the Algoma player, is that connection with the coach, right? That coaching staff is going to be your family for the next potentially 4 or 5 years. So, you know, you have to be willing as well to, you know, make that connection, and, you know, finding that finding that good fit. And the only way you're going to do that is if you're communicating back and forth with that coach, and providing that information so you can both develop that relationship between each other. Because, you know, having that relationship goes a very long way in how well you're going to develop as a player, how happy you're going to be in that situation. So.
Yeah, and someone always does know someone. Like even this pathway of us getting together, right? I had a teammate whose mom knew Coach Kareem, and that sort of stuff always happens. The basketball community, even though Canada's so big, it is so small in a sense. Like someone always does know someone who knows someone in this community. So that's also a really nice thing. Just remember that too. And one big important thing that too I just want to say before we wrap up is, as an athlete, you carry so much on you. It's such like a big responsibility, and also something we're so fortunate to have. But you represent more than just yourself when you're an athlete, and that's something I learned that was really important in university. Is like I represented not only myself and wanted to hold myself to a high standard, but I also represented an entire university. Just like you represent your club teams, you represent your cities, your areas, your neighborhood, same thing, right? So just always remembering that, and just holding yourself to that high standard in everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much, Coach. Okay, I think we're officially going to wrap up now. I won't keep anybody. So normally, you know, the U19 women, we might have a post chat, but we won't do that tonight. We're just going to wrap up. I'll communicate with you guys over our normal chat lines. But I want to thank Coach K, Coach Karissa Kajorinne, and Coach Patrick Murray for spending this time with us. And again, Algoma University Thunderbirds and Sault College Cougars representing on tonight's call. Thank you guys again for being part of this.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yes, thanks for having us.
All right. And Lady Blues, hey, yeah, we got some applause. Lady Blues, we're going in. We always end every call Blues on 3. So you guys, you know, coaches, you guys can be a part of this too. I'm going to ask Sophia to be our official Blues on 3. We'll sign off with this.
Blues on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Blues. All right. Good night, everybody. Coaches, thank you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you, coaches.
Thank you.
Take care.